Welcome to Hiring in a Remote World, brought to you by Media Staffing Network and Local Sales Recruitment. Media Staffing Network works across all media with a specialty on finding prospects for open positions at clients in large and small markets. We've got a very high success rate in finding passive prospects for hard-to-fill positions. We offer a variety of services and support to both employers and individuals. Why am I doing this session? Because I'm a full-time recruiter. I have worked with media companies across all platforms, all sizes, and in numerous positions. I've recruited in times of low and high unemployment, and I'm here to share what has worked for us. Our specialty is finding non-job seekers for open positions, so we use recruit as a verb. Most importantly, we have successfully run this business on a virtual basis since 2007, so we know how it works. You know, while it may not look like it now, tomorrow will happen. We're going to need to hire again. However, it could be a totally different than what we've done in the past. You know, maybe we're going to need different skill sets. Maybe we're going to need to all work remotely. We may have smaller staffs, so we may need to combine positions. Whatever happens, be open, think out of the box, and never stop planning for tomorrow. You know, our new normal may result in more part-time or flexible workers. So what our workforce consists of could be totally different. One of the best ways to start adding to your staff could be offering part-time or flexible workers. Job shares have been done for quite a while. You know, they don't necessarily have to be just two moms sharing a list like they were originally. Could be, you know, a dad. It could be a veteran staff member with a newbie, so they can both learn tricks from each other. But the good thing about job shares is you get the two minds for the price of one, because usually they're not working enough hours to get full benefits. So flexible or part-time staffers, I have to tell you, when I have looked to hire for our own company, I've gotten a much better level of worker when I open up and include either part-time or flexible. So look at all the positives of having a part-time or flexible staff. Number one, it gives you the ability to attract a whole new group of prospects with different kinds of experience. Younger generations love it, and as we look to hire more millennials and Gen Zs, it's going to be very important to them. You can also gain needed skills with a limited budget. Perhaps you need somebody with a very high level of expertise that you can't afford on a full-time basis. By bringing them in either on a project or a limited basis, you can save money and be able to afford them. This can improve diversity in your workplace. You can also help a business be more agile in peak times. Let's say, for example, you've got a special promotion going on and you need to bring in some extra people. It also, especially at this time right now, you can support overstretched workers. So again, you know, it's very important to do that. So let's talk about building the team for tomorrow. You know, things you can be doing right now is pay attention to who in town or in the industry is laying off staff. Build a pipeline of that top talent that you want to build a relationship with for the future. You might not be able to hire them now, but they could be somebody that you've had your eye on. So what you want to do is start setting up an interview or an informational call to start building that relationship. People want to work for companies that have people that they like and trust. So again, that can benefit you a lot. You want to make sure to follow up regularly to keep up with those people, to make sure they're engaged and that you continue to share your interest level in them. You want to definitely be sharing how you're treating your staff versus social media. There's a lot of homework done before somebody will ever agree to an interview. So you've got to make sure you've got a real positive image out there. Very important now to update your website. And if you don't have a career page, this is the time to add one, or you know, maybe enlarge it. You want to be sure and address your culture. You know, include testimonials from a variety of different people at your staff so that you can see, you know, different opinions. Make sure you're addressing what you can do for the job. You know, how can you prepare them? What kind of training? What kind of growth potential that you can do? So share what you can do for your employees. You can include video, audio, and pictures. The more, the better. And obviously, one of the most important things you can do if you don't have online training or if you have outdated online training, it's time to improve it. 51% of leaders 36 and under describe their company learning and development programs as inconsistent and underperforming. And let me tell you, if they are not getting what they need, they will leave. So again, this is a great time to be updating those tools. So let's talk about how you can start prepping to hire. The first thing you want to do is review your materials and be prepared to sell your opportunity. So even though we're in a high unemployment time, your success is going to be tied to having the top talent, and you need to attract them. So you've got to definitely be able to sell your opportunity. So let's start with the job profile. You want to have an industry overview. Keep in mind, in today's world, people don't relocate a lot. And so you might be talking to people that are coming from outside your industry. So you need to update them. What's the future of this industry? What's it look like? What all's involved with it? You want to talk about your company. What makes your company unique? How is it different from its competitors? How does it take care of its people? How did it get started? Very detailed, transparent expectations. You don't want to have surprises after they get hired. You need to lay in what you need from them on a daily basis. You want to address the growth potential. Absolutely share stories or come up with stories about people that have been promoted, where and why, because that is something of big interest. You also need to maybe start reviewing your culture. As I said, you've got to sell your opportunity. So think about what you're doing differently. Describe what a day-to-day looks like. Perhaps you add a day in the life of video to your website. When I ask you to include training and support details, I don't want to see just we do training and support. Get into details. How is it conducted? Who conducts it? How long is it? What all is covered? So be very detailed. Then obviously you're going to have to market your job, which we'll talk about, and then create a strategy. So again, the more prepared you can be, the better off you are. So getting the word out, believe it or not, 94% of jobs are found through word of mouth. So that's something that you want to make sure you've got happy employees, because they're some of your best advocates. So again, I talk about the career page because I find too many companies don't have strong career pages. You want to be posting numerous times on social media, whether it be LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, making sure that you're sharing about what you're doing out there. You could place an ad in any industry publications in case there's people that have been laid off or looking for a different position. You obviously want to share with any industry peers you have, because again, that word of mouth. You might need to hire a recruiter. Either A, you're not finding the right people, or B, you're inundated with resumes and you need some help, getting through them. And you need to make sure you're rewarding your staff or anyone that's involved in your referral program for any time they refer you. I will say that most referral programs are really not set up accurately. They tend to pay out when someone stays a predetermined amount of time, like a year. So really what you're asking your team for are names of potential employees. I encourage companies to pay them for what you're asking and create some excitement, and really don't make them wait a year. But again, having that up-to-date career page is really going to help you with your pipeline. So when you get ready to hire and you've got prospects coming in, you want to research them. You want to make sure you Google them, check their Facebook and LinkedIn. After you've done that homework, you want to prepare questions specifically for that person and their ability to do the particular job you're interviewing them for. You may want to create a virtual tour of your office. You might want to put together examples of work to share. You want to have a list of resources to help them research your industry. Perhaps, again, as I said, they're coming from outside of media. So you might want to use some of the associations or great articles that talk about your industry. You want to make sure you establish a process with a timeline and a protocol. So you want to, I like to have other people in the interview process. So I like to have all of my questions prepared in advance. And what I may do is have a couple of the questions maybe reworded, but given to the other people so I can compare answers. You want to consider and evaluate and prepare any assessments if you're doing them. Make sure they're targeting the job, and make sure you're looking at them only as a hiring tool and not a decision maker. And you obviously want to establish your game plan. So once you get that person set up, you want to help them prepare for your interview. I would like to get as much information up front so you can really have a good, strong conversation. So again, having that fully transparent job profile, links to helpful resources for your company and the industry. In a company overview, you want to make sure, especially if it's not on your website, what's the mission and function of this department or the team? How do they help the company? You might want to include a hierarchy chart for really a good understanding of who does what. You want to share your LinkedIn contact information. You want to give them a list of everybody that's going to be involved in the hiring process so they can do their homework and be prepared, and make sure you get them everybody's contact information that's going to be involved in the process. Obviously, you're going to be doing remote interviews, so you want to confirm the time. Again, remember, there's different time zones out there. We live in Arizona, and so my time zone gets screwed up on every calendar. Make sure the prospect knows what platform and they're comfortable using it. You don't want to have to spend half your interview getting them taught how to turn on a microphone. You want to ensure that all in the hiring process have accurate, up-to-date information. You want to decide in advance who's going to cover what in the process, as I discussed earlier. Let the prospect know who's going to be involved, and then obviously look professional, at least from the waist up. So during the interview, you want to be able to discuss, things like breaking the ice to develop comfort. I think people are feeling a little out of whack when they're doing everything on their computer. So again, maybe having some chit chat for a little bit will help break that ice. Again, cover the company mission, the function of the department, how it benefits the company, where they fit in. You want to have, like I said, transparent details, expectations, deadlines, and goals. And most importantly, how that new hire is going to be measured. If it's a seller, you can't really expect them to be measured right away on the revenue they bring in. So you've got to look at other ways to let them know how they're going to be looked at. And obviously, you want to talk about how the team works together, who's involved, and a potential start date. Other things you can address: overview of your training, what your compensation is, when it gets paid, how it gets paid, how is commission, do you have chargebacks, whatever's involved. Cover the benefits. When does it start, who's covered, what are the costs. I would talk about your reputation. If you have a good reputation, why? If you have a bad reputation, why? Be sure you're checking Glassdoor to make sure that you don't have any past employees that have blasted you. Now, keep in mind the younger generation really is into community and volunteer opportunities. Those things can go on your career page, but also you can talk about them. And again, explain and give examples of success stories of how you've helped people grow. Where have they gone? Why have they gone? You also might want to be able to have great examples of how you help the community or how you've helped grow an individual business. When you're doing that remote interview, there's some things you can look at. Obviously, the response time to emails. Keep in mind, again, different time zones. If they're enthusiastic, what kind of passion are they showing on the phone? Look at their communication skills, both verbally and orally. Are they able to make a decision or solve a problem? Ask them for an example. Ask them how they schedule their working day and prioritize. Absolutely, with everybody working remotely, that's a really good question to probe now. Look at their attention to detail. You might want to ask a question that's maybe 2 or 3 pronged and see if they answer everything you ask. Look at how prepared they are. Did they do their homework? Have they gone to your website? Are they familiar with what you do? If somebody has come to you as a job seeker and they're not prepared, shame on them. There's no excuse. If your interview goes well, good, great. Lay out those next steps. Confirm their interest level. You don't want to waste your time going after somebody that's not interested. If they're not interested, you've got more selling to do. This is the time to ask for references. We usually ask for, on a lower level, anywhere from 3 to 5, on a senior level, 7 to 12, knowing that we're not going to be able to get a hold of everyone. I also don't accept peers or friends. So you want to follow up with them and let them know of your interest. I would send them an email, and then if you tell them you're going to check in on a certain time, absolutely do it. Again, people want to work for people that are organized, prepared, and together. And if you're interested in somebody, you might want to expedite the process, because more than likely they are going to be looking at several opportunities. And if you want to land them, this is the time to move it forward. If you're not interested in the person, be upfront on why they're not a match. This is going to help them, whether they have poor interview skills, their resume was inaccurate, whatever it could be. Let them know what they're doing incorrectly. Always thank them for their time. Let them know if possibly they could be considered for a different position, or maybe you know of someone else hiring for their position. Again, kindness goes a long ways, and whatever you do, do not blow off an interview. Again, what goes around comes around, and this is why a lot of the younger generation has been hesitant about getting into a lot of the media jobs, is they feel that their parents, grandparents, haven't treated them well. They don't get responses to when they apply for a job. So again, treat them kindly. As a recap, what you can do if you're hiring: review your workflow, see that every task is covered and nothing's falling through the cracks. You need to have updated, accurate job profiles. Again, a job profile could be several pages. You might use a shorter version on your posting. You want to create your selling propositions to increase the quality and quantity of your candidates. You need to make sure everyone in the process is on the same page. You need to research your prospect before you get on the phone with them. You want to have individual questions for each candidate. You want to share your timeline and your process so they know what's coming, and follow up with all applicants, interviews, and referral sources. By all means, thank them. At Media Staffing Network, we want to hear about your challenges. Thank you so much for attending. Please check out our other webinars on working and onboarding. If you need anything, please find us at mediastaffingnetwork.com, or feel free to email me at Laurie@mediastaffingnetwork.com. Thank you for your time.